The first time I sent the money, it felt like love. It was April 12th, 2021. I remember because I had just replaced the batteries in the wall clock in my kitchen. The cheap plastic one Eleanor always hated. It ticked too loudly. Said it sounded like time was chewing through the house. After she died, I stopped noticing the ticking. Until that day, I was standing at the counter, slicing yesterday's rye bread into thin, careful pieces. Old habit, you stretch what you have. When my phone buzzed, the screen lit up with my daughter's name, Melissa. She never called in the mornings. "Dad." "Hi," she said quickly, too quickly. I could hear something in the background. A television, maybe cartoons. My grandson Tyler. Liked those loud, colorful shows where everyone shouted all the time. "Morning," I said. "Everything all right?" A pause. Then the sigh. "It's Tyler," she said. "His school, they're doing this special program. Advanced placement, STEM track. It's really good for him, Dad. But the fee it's a lot." "How much is a lot?" I asked, already reaching for my glasses. $5,000, she said, then rushed to add. "It covers the whole year. Materials, trips, everything. He really wants this." $5,000. I looked at the bread in my hand. The knife hovered midair. 5,000 was not a small number for a retired man with a pension of $3,800 a month and habits built in the 70s. But then I heard Tyler's voice in the background. "Mom, tell Grandpa I got an A." My grip tightened slightly on the knife handle. "Well," I said slowly, "an A deserves something." "Oh, Dad, I knew you'd understand," Melissa said immediately, relief flooding her voice so quickly it almost sounded rehearsed. "That should have been my first warning." Instead, I smiled. "Send me the details," I said. "Account number, school name. I'll transfer it today." "You're the best, Dad." No, I was the most convenient. At 10:42 a.m., I sat down at my old oak desk, the one I'd refinished myself back in 1998, and logged into my bank account. The screen took its time loading. Everything takes its time when you get old. Even computers seem to pity you. Transfer, $5,000. Recipient, Melissa Carter. Reference, Tyler School Program. I stared at the confirmation screen for a long moment before clicking send. Done. Just like that. $5,000 left my account as quietly as Eleanor had left this house. One hospital bed. One machine turned off. One long silence after. I leaned back in my chair. The springs creaked under me. Same chair, same sound for 20 years. "Worth it," I muttered, because it was for Tyler. That evening, I made myself a proper dinner. Not the usual canned soup or scrambled eggs. No, I took out the good pan, cast iron heavy, and cooked a steak. Medium rare, just the way Eleanor used to insist. "You ruin meat when you overcook it, Harold," she'd say. I set the table for one. Still, plate, fork, knife, glass of red wine, the cheap kind, but poured into the crystal she never let guests touch. I even turned on the radio. Soft jazz, something with a trumpet that sounded like it was apologizing for existing. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed again. A photo, Tyler grinning, holding up a piece of paper. Accepted. Behind him, I noticed something else. A new television. Big, at least 60 inches. Mounted on the wall. I frowned slightly. "Must have been a sale," I said out loud, cutting into the steak. People upgrade things. It happens. The second transfer came 3 weeks later. April 30, th.8:17 p.m. This time it was my son, Daniel. "Dad, I hate to ask, but we're in a bit of situation." "Of course you are." I sat in my recliner. Eleanor's chair, really, but I claimed it after she was gone, and muted the evening news. "What kind of situation?" "It's Emma," he said. "My granddaughter. She needs braces. The insurance only covers part of it. The orthodontist wants $7,200 up front." Up front. Always up front. "And you don't have it?" I asked. A pause. Then a chuckle, nervous, practiced. "You know how things are. Mortgage, car payment, inflation, Dad." Inflation. A wonderful word. Covers everything. Explains nothing. "How much do you need?" I asked. "All of it if you can," he said quickly. "We'll pay you back." They never do. But Emma. Sweet Emma with her crooked smile and quiet voice. "When's the appointment?" I asked. "Next week." I closed my eyes. "I'll transfer it tomorrow." May 1st, 2021. Transfer, $7,200. Recipient, Daniel Brooks. Reference, Emma Dental. Total so far, $12,200. I started writing it down that day, not because I didn't trust them, but because Eleanor always said, if money leaves your hand, Harold, it should leave a trail behind it. So I opened a small notebook, blue cover, $2.99 from Walmart, and wrote, April 12th, $5,000, Tyler School. May 1st, $7,200, Emma Braces. I underlined the total twice. Then I closed the notebook and put in the drawer. By June, the requests had become easier. Not for me, for them. Dad, Tyler needs a laptop for the program. $1,800. Dad, Emma's school trip. $2,300. Dad, we're a little short this month. Just $3,000 to cover expenses. Always for the kids. And always urgent. I didn't notice the pattern at first. Or maybe I did, and chose not to look too closely. There's a particular kind of blindness that comes with loneliness. You accept things you shouldn't, just to keep the phone ringing. By July 14th, 2021, the total had reached $28,300. I remember the date because that was Eleanor's birthday. I bought a small cake. Chocolate. She hated chocolate, preferred vanilla. But the bakery was closing, and it was all they had left. I lit a candle anyway. Happy birthday, I said to an empty kitchen. Then my phone buzzed. Melissa again. Dad, quick question. Of course it was. I blew out the candle before she could finish. If you believe older voices still matter, support this channel with a like and a subscription. By September, I stopped asking questions. Not because I trusted them more, because I already knew the answers. The kitchen table had become my office. Every morning at 7:15, I would sit there with my coffee, black, no sugar, the way Eleanor used to complain about, and open the same three things, my bank app, the blue notebook, and the old calculator with the faded gray buttons. Click, tap, right. Numbers have a way of telling the truth when people don't. June 3rd, $1,800, Tyler laptop. June 11th, $2,300, Emma trip. June 25th, $3,000. Expenses, Daniel. July 2nd, $4,500, summer camp, Tyler. July 19th, $2,100, school supplies. The handwriting got tighter as the list grew longer. Less space between the lines. Less patience in the pen. By August 1st, the total stood at $46,000. I underlined it once, then again harder. The pen tore slightly through paper. Dad, you're a lifesaver. Melissa said it so often it started to sound like a greeting instead of gratitude. Dad, we don't know what we'd do without you. That one came from Daniel, usually right before he told me exactly what they would do without me. Struggle, apparently. Always on the edge. Always one bill away from collapse. And yet, on August 9th, I drove to Melissa's house, unannounced, not to check on anything. I told myself that twice on the way there, just passing by, thought I'd say hello. The driveway was full. A white SUV I didn't recognize. Brand new. Still had the dealer sticker on the rear window. I parked behind it and sat there for a moment, engine idling. Lease, I muttered. Probably a lease. People lease things now. That's what they say. I turned off the engine and stepped out. The front door was unlocked. Melissa? I called. In the kitchen, she shouted back, cheerful, effortless. I walked in slowly. Same house, same furniture, but upgraded. Subtle things. The kind you notice only if you remember how it used to look. New countertops. Quartz, not laminate. Coffee machine, chrome, expensive. One of those that hisses like it's alive. And the TV. Bigger than in the photo. Much bigger. Dad. Melissa turned, wiping her hands on a dish towel. You should have called. Thought I'd surprise you, I said. She smiled. Too quickly again. Tyler ran in from the living room and hugged me around the waist. Gramp, look what I got. He dragged me by the hand. A gaming console. Latest model. I don't remember the name, just a price tag I'd seen in stores. Around $600. That's something, I said. Mom got it for me, he beamed. Of course she did. Coffee. Melissa asked from the kitchen. Sure. I sat down at the island. The stool was new too. Leather. Comfortable. Too comfortable. So, I said casually, how's work? Oh, you know, she waved it off. Busy. Everything's expensive now. We're just trying to keep up. I nodded slowly. My eyes drifted to the counter. A receipt lay there. half folded, careless. Best Buy, $2,947.16. I looked away before she could notice. Tyler's program going well? I asked. Very, she said. He loves it. Worth every penny. Every penny. I took a sip of coffee. It tasted better than mine. That night, I added 3 new lines to the notebook. August 9th observation, new SUV electronics, $3,000 plus. Total given, $46,000. Unaccounted lifestyle increase. I stared at that last line for a long time. Unaccounted. Such a polite word for something that felt wrong. The next request came 2 days later. August 11 th.6:32 p.m. Daniel again. Dad, I need a favor. Of course you do. I sat by the window this time, watching the streetlights flicker on one by one. What is it? It's for Emma, he said. There's this private tutoring program. SAT prep. It's intensive, really high success rate. How much? A pause. Then softer. 15,000. I actually laughed. Not loudly. Just a short, dry sound that surprised even me. 15. I repeated. It's an investment, Dad, he said quickly. You always said education matters. I did say that. 40 years ago. To a point, I replied. Silence. Then he changed his tone. You know she's been struggling, he said. If she doesn't get into a good college, you don't want her to fall behind, do you? There it was. Not a request. A lever. Later that night, Melissa texted me. A photo of Tyler, holding a test paper again. A plus. Caption, he's working so hard. We're really proud of him, red heart. I looked at the message for a long time. Then at the notebook. Then back at the message. They're good kids, I said out loud. And that was the problem. August 12, 2021. Transfer. $15,000. Recipient, Daniel Brooks. Reference. Emma SAT prep. Total. $61,000. I didn't underline it this time. I circled it. Slowly. Deliberately. The circle looked uneven. My hand had started to shake. That night I couldn't sleep. The clock in the kitchen ticked louder than usual. Or maybe I was finally listening. Tick. $5,000. Tick. $7,200. Tick. $15,000. Each second sounded like money leaving. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just steadily. Like a leak you don't notice until the floor starts to warp. I got up at 2:17 a.m. and walked to the kitchen. Opened the drawer. Took out the notebook. Ran my fingers over the numbers. $61,000. For the kids. I closed the notebook. But this time, I didn't put it back in the drawer. I left it on the table, right next to the calculator. And for the first time, I allowed myself to think something I had been avoiding for months. This wasn't about the children anymore. Patterns don't announce themselves. They settle in quietly, like dust on a shelf you stop noticing, because it's always been there. By September, I had stopped pretending. Not out loud, not to them, but to myself. September 3rd, 2021, 7:15 a.m. Same kitchen, same coffee, same ticking clock, different numbers. Total. $73,400. I didn't even remember approving the last transfer. I flipped back through the notebook. August 20th, $4,800. Emergency car repair, Daniel. August 27th, $7,600. Medical bill, Melissa. Medical bill. Car repair. Words that sound heavy enough to silence doubt. But something about them felt rehearsed. Like lines delivered too smoothly. I tapped the pen against the table. Once. Twice. Then I reached for my phone. Morning, Dad. Melissa answered on the second ring. Morning? I said. How's everything? Busy, she laughed. Always busy. You know how it is. I do, I said. A pause. Then I asked as casually as I could. How's that medical situation you mentioned? Another pause. Short. Too short. Oh, it's fine now, she said quickly. Turned out to be nothing serious. Just precautionary tests. Good, I said. Which hospital was it? Silence. Then, why? There it was. Not confusion. Not concern. Defense. Just curious? I said. Thought I might check in. No need, she replied. A little sharper now. It's handled. Handled. Of course it was. With my money. That same afternoon I drove again. Not to Melissa, this time. To Daniel. He lived 20 minutes farther out, in one of those new developments where all the houses look like they were printed from the same machine. His driveway was empty, but the garage door was open. I parked and stepped out quietly. Voices drifted from inside. Daniel and someone else. I wasn't trying to listen, but when your name comes up, your ears don't ask permission. I told you won't say no, Daniel was saying. A woman laughed. His wife. You're pushing it, she said. 15 grand for tutoring? Seriously? She's not even going, Daniel replied. I froze. She's not what? His wife asked, amused. Emma. She hates it. Went twice. That's it. More laughter. Then where's the money going? A pause. Then Daniel's voice dropped slightly, but not enough. Mortgage. Credit cards. That Vegas trip didn't pay for itself. Another laugh. Louder this time. He's basically our backup account, she said. Exactly, Dana replied. And as long as we keep it about the kids. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. I don't remember walking back to the car. I don't remember starting the engine, but I remember sitting there, hands on the wheel, knuckles white, 72 years old, and feeling like a fool. Backup account. The phrase echoed in my head the entire drive home. Not father, not grandfather, not even a person, an account. At 4:12 p.m., I sat down at the kitchen table again, opened the notebook, looked at the numbers. Then I added a new section at the bottom of the page. Confirmed misuse. Emma tutoring? False. Funds redirected, mortgage, debt, personal use. The pen pressed so hard it left marks on the next page. I didn't stop. Pattern established. Urgency. Emotional leverage, children. No verification. Increasing amounts. I underlined the last line 3 times. That evening, the phone rang. Daniel, of course. Hey, Dad, he said, cheerful as ever. Quick thing. No, I said. Silence. What? I said no. Another pause. Longer this time. To what? He asked carefully. I almost smiled. To whatever you were about to ask. A shift in tone. Subtle, but there. Dad, come on, you don't even know. I know enough. Silence again. Then a sigh. You've been talking to Melissa, haven't you? Interesting. Not have you misunderstood? Not what's wrong. Straight to positioning. No, I said. I've been listening. That shut him up for a moment. Look, he said finally, irritation creeping in. If this is about money. It is. Well, we're family, he snapped. We help each other. Do we? I asked quietly. Another pause. Different this time. Less confident. That night, I didn't write in the notebook. I didn't need to. The numbers had stopped being abstract. They had faces now, voices, laughter behind a half-open garage door. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Melissa. A photo. Tyler again, smiling, holding another paper. Perfect score. Caption. He couldn't have done it without your help. Red heart. I stared at the screen, at his face. Innocent, proud, unaware, used. Just like me. I placed the phone face down on the table. The room was quiet except for the clock. Tick, tick, tick. But now I heard something else beneath it. Not time, not age. Something colder, clearer, understanding. For months, I had been giving the money. Now for the first time, I understood what I had really been giving them. Permission. And that was something I could finally take back. I didn't rush. That's the thing about getting older. You stop confusing speed with control. When you spend 40 years tightening bolts and checking circuits, you learn that the worst mistakes happen when you move too fast. So I slowed down. September 10th, 2021, 9 a.m. I called Melissa. Let's have dinner, I said. Dinner, she repeated, surprised. Sunday. All of you. You, Daniel, the kids. A pause, then cautious. Is everything okay? Of course, I said. Just thought it's been a while. That was a lie, but she accepted it. Okay. That sounds nice. I spent the next 2 days preparing, not emotionally, practically. Saturday morning, I went to the bank, the branch on Elm Street, same one Eleanor and I had used for 25 years. Same carpet, same faint smell of paper and coffee. Margaret was still there. She looked older. Then again, so did I. Harold, she smiled. We don't see you often enough. I've been busy funding the next generation, I replied. She laughed politely. I need statements, I said, placing my notebook on the desk. All transfers, April through now, printed. Her smile faded slightly. Of course. 40 minutes later, I walked out with a folder thick enough to feel like evidence. Because that's what it was. Not suspicion anymore. Proof. Sunday came quietly. Too quietly. I woke up at 5:50 a.m. before the alarm. Couldn't sleep. Didn't try to. I made coffee. Stronger than usual. Burned it slightly. Didn't care. Then I started cooking. Roast chicken. Potatoes with rosemary. Green beans with butter. Simple food. Honest food. The kind that doesn't pretend to be more than it is. Unlike people. They arrived at 3:07 p.m. Late. Of course. Melissa first. Bright smile. Light perfume. Daniel behind her. Phone in hand. Already distracted. The kids rushed in. Grandpa. That part was real. Always had been. I hugged them both. Held on a second longer than usual. Dinner started normally. That's the strange part. For a while, it felt like family. Plates clinking. Glasses filling. Small talk. How's school? How's work? Traffic was terrible. All the usual lies people tell to avoid the real ones. Halfway through the meal, Daniel cleared his throat. Actually, Dad, since we're all here, of course. I didn't even look up. Yes. He leaned back slightly, adopting that careful tone. We've been thinking. Emma's college fund. No, I said. Fork stopped. Melissa blinked. What do you mean, no? Daniel asked. I mean, no. Silence settled over the table. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Real. Dad, Melissa said carefully. You don't even know what we're asking. I know exactly what you're asking, I replied. I put my fork down, wiped my hands with the napkin. Slowly, deliberately. Then I stood up. Give me a moment, I said, and walked to the kitchen. Not because I needed to, because timing matters. I returned with a folder. Thick, organized, final. Set it down in the center of a table. No one touched it. What's this? Daniel asked. You tell me, I said. He frowned, then pulled the folder closer. Opened it. Pages flipped, one after another. His expression changed, slowly, from curiosity to confusion to something tighter. Melissa leaned in. What is that? Transfers, I said calmly. Every dollar I've sent since April. Silence. Then, okay, she said, and I thought we could go through them together. I opened my notebook, placed it beside the documents. Two versions of the same story. One handwritten, one printed, both undeniable. April 12th, I began. $5,000 to Tyler's program. Melissa nodded quickly. Yes, and he's doing amazing. August 11th, I continued, cutting across her. 15,000. Emma's tutoring. Daniel stiffened. She attended twice, I said. The words landed like a dropped glass. Sharp, irreversible. What are you talking about? Melissa snapped. I looked at Daniel, not at her. At the garage, I said quietly. You should close the door when you discuss finances. Silence. Complete. Even the kids stopped moving. Daniel's face drained of color. You were listening? He said. I was standing in my own son's driveway, I replied. And I heard the truth. His jaw tightened. That's not. Mortgage, I said. Credit cards. Vegas. Each word placed carefully, like evidence on a table. Dad, you're overreacting. Melissa jumped in. We never said. You didn't have to, I said. I tapped the papers. The numbers said it for you. The room changed. You can feel it when it happens. Something invisible breaks. And there's no putting it back. We're family, Daniel said. His voice harder now. We help each other. No, I replied. You use each other. That's not fair. $73,000, I said. Louder now. Not shouting, but close. For the kids. I leaned forward slightly. How much of that actually reached them? No one answered. Because there was no answer that wouldn't sound like what it was. Dad, Melissa said softer now, almost pleading. We will pay you back. When? I asked. Silence. I nodded slowly. Then I reached into the folder, pulled out one last document, placed it on top. What's that? Daniel asked. Revocation, I said. Of what? Everything. I looked at both of them, for the first time that evening, not as their father, not as a grandfather, but as a man who had been very patient and was done being so. No more transfers, I said. No more access. No more lies. The clock ticked loudly in the silence. Same as always, but now Everyone heard it. They didn't leave immediately. That would have been cleaner, simpler. But my children were never ones for clean endings. Revocation of what? Daniel repeated, his voice tight. Power of attorney, I said. Account access. Authorization rights. Everything you've been quietly using. Melissa let out a short, incredulous laugh. Dad, we don't have power of attorney over you. I held her gaze. Not officially, I said, but you had something better. She frowned. My trust. No one spoke for a moment. Then Daniel leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Okay, he said. So what? You're cutting us off? That's what this is. Yes. The word landed flat. Solid. Final. You can't be serious, Melissa snapped. After everything we've done for you? I almost smiled at that. Everything. I repeated. Her chin lifted slightly. We take care of you. We check it. We bring the kids. You bring them, I interrupted, when you need something. Her face hardened. That's not true. No. I reached for the folder again, flipping to a page I had marked. Look at the dates, I said. Every visit, every call, every how are you, Dad, lined up neatly next to a transfer. I slid the paper toward her. Coincidence is a wonderful thing, I added. She didn't look at it. Daniel did, and that was enough. This is ridiculous, he said, pushing the paper back. You're turning this into some kind of investigation. That's exactly what it is, I replied. You're our father, not a bank auditor. No, I said quietly. I was your father. That one landed. I saw it in the way his shoulders shifted. Just slightly. Don't do that, Melissa said sharply. Don't try to gild us. I let out a slow breath. Guilt, I said. You think this is about guilt? I shook my head. No, this is about arithmetic. I stood up again, walked to the kitchen. They watched me this time. No one spoke. When I came back, I wasn't holding papers. I was holding a small black device. Rectangular. Simple. Cost me $79.99 at Best Buy. What's that? Daniel asked. A recorder, I said. I placed it on the table, next to the plates, next to the food that had gone cold. I've had it for 3 weeks, I continued, ever since I realized something didn't add up. Melissa's eyes narrowed. You recorded us? No, I said. I recorded myself. That confused them. Good. Every call, I said. Every request. Every explanation you gave me for why you needed money. I tapped the folder. Then I compared those explanations to reality. Silence. You said Emma needed tutoring. I continued. I pressed a button. The device clicked. And then Daniel's voice filled the room. Clear. Undeniable. She's not even going. Went twice. That's it. The recording ended with his wife laughing. Melissa went pale. Daniel didn't move. Didn't blink. You recorded that, he said finally. No, I replied. You gave that to me for free. The room felt smaller now, like the walls had shifted inward. This is insane, Melissa whispered. You're spying on your own family? I'm protecting myself, I said. From us, she snapped. Yes. That word again. Short. Hip. Irreversible. Daniel stood up abruptly. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. This is over, he said. You've lost your mind. Sit down, I said. He didn't. So I continued anyway. I've already spoken to the bank, I said. That got his attention. He stopped, slowly turned back. All accounts are secured, I went on. 2-factor authentication. Alerts on every transaction. I met his eyes. You won't be touching another dollar. Melissa let out a shaky breath. Fine, she said. Keep your money. I nodded. I will. But I wasn't finished. Not yet. There's one more thing, I said. I reached into the folder again, pulled out a final document. Thicker paper this time. Official. Stamped. Daniel frowned. What now? A trust, I said. For the kids. That changed everything. You could feel it. Like oxygen suddenly returning to a room. What kind of trust? Melissa asked quickly. An irrevocable one, I said. Set up last week. I placed it on the table, but didn't slide it toward them. $200,000, I continued. Their eyes widened. In equal shares. For Tyler and Emma. Melissa's voice softened instantly. Dad, it's not for you, I said. She stopped. It's locked, I went on. Education, housing, medical. Direct payments only. No withdrawals. No emergencies. I paused. Full oversight by the bank. Daniel stared at the document, then at me. "You're cutting us out," he said. "Yes, that's our kids," Melissa added, her voice rising again, "with their parents. And I'm their grandfather," I replied, "which means I care where the money actually goes." Silence fell again, heavier this time. Final. The children were quiet. They didn't understand the numbers, but they understood the tone. Kids always do. Daniel grabbed his jacket. "Come on," he muttered to his wife. Melissa hesitated for a moment, looking at the papers, at the numbers, at the future that had just closed. Then she stood too. No shouting this time. No dramatic exit. Just footsteps. The door opening, closing, and then silence. I stood there for a long moment, then slowly sat back down. The food was cold. The house was quiet again, like it had been before all of this started. I looked at the trust document, then at the empty chairs, then at the clock. Tick, tick, tick. For the first time in months, it didn't sound like something was being taken from me. It sounded like something had finally stopped. The first week after they stopped calling felt unnatural. Not peaceful, not yet. Just quiet in a way that made you check your phone more often than necessary. As if silence itself had weight. Monday morning, 7:15 a.m. I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee. Black, bitter, slightly overbrewed. Same as always. The notebook was still there. Closed now. I hadn't opened it since Sunday. Didn't need to. There were no new numbers to write. The clock ticked. Loud again, but different. Before, it sounded like loss. Now it sounded like space. At 9:02 a.m., my phone buzzed. For a moment, just a moment, something in my chest tightened. Habit, hope, foolish things, both of them. Unknown number. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hello, Mr. Carter?" a woman's voice said. Professional, measured. "Yes. This is Linda Hayes from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding the trust you established last week." I leaned back slightly. "Yes, Miss Hayes. I just wanted to confirm that the initial funding has been processed successfully. $200,000. Allocated as specified. Everything is in place." "Good," I said. A pause. Then softer. "And the access restrictions?" "Fully enforced," she replied. "No external withdrawals possible. Any disbursements require documentation and direct payment." Exactly as I wanted. After the call ended, I sat there for a while, looking at nothing in particular. Then I nodded once. "Good," I repeated. Wednesday came with rain. The kind Eleanor used to like. Steady, quiet, no drama. I stood by the window, watching it trace slow lines down the glass. At 2:14 p.m., the doorbell rang. That was unexpected. I opened the door. Tyler stood there, backpack hanging off one shoulder, hair slightly wet from the rain. "Hi, Grandpa," he said. Just like that. No tension, no hesitation. "Tyler," I said, stepping aside. "Coming?" He walked in, looking around like he always did, quick, curious glances at everything, as if the house might have changed without him. It hadn't. "Mom said not to come," he added casually, dropping his backpack near the chair. I raised an eyebrow. "And yet here you are." He shrugged. "I wanted to." "Fair enough." We sat in the kitchen. I made him a sandwich, turkey, cheese, a little mustard. Cut it diagonally. Eleanor's rule, not mine. He ate quickly at first, then slower, thinking. "Are you mad at Mom?" he asked suddenly. Children don't circle questions. They go straight through them. I wiped my hands with a towel. Considered the answer. "Not at you," I said. "That's not what I asked." I almost smiled. "No," I said finally. "I'm not mad." That wasn't entirely true, but it was true enough for him. He nodded, took another bite. Then, "Mom said you don't want to help anymore." I leaned back, slightly. "That depends on what help means," I said. He frowned. "I got another A," he said, as if presenting evidence. "I know you did." He blinked. "How?" "You always do," I replied. That seemed to satisfy him. After he left, the house felt different. Not empty, not full, balanced. Friday evening, 6:40 p.m. My phone buzzed again. Melissa. I looked at the screen for a long time, then answered. "Dad," she said. No warmth this time. No performance. Just a voice. "Melissa." A pause. Longer than usual. "Tyler told me he came by," she said. "Yes." Another pause. "He shouldn't undermine us like that." There it was. Not thank you. Not I'm sorry. Control. Even now. I didn't invite him, I said calmly. He's a child. He's my grandson. Silence. We're struggling, she said finally. Of course you are. With what? I asked. She didn't answer. Because now we both knew the question mattered. Dad, her voice softened just slightly. Can we talk? Properly? I looked at the clock. Then at the empty chair across the table. Then at the notebook. We are talking, I said. No, I know what you mean, I interrupted. A breath on the other end. It won't be the same, I said. Quietly, not angry, just precise. I don't need it to be, she replied. That was new. I considered that. For a moment. Then we'll see, I said. Not yes. Not no. Something in between. Something earned. After the call ended. I didn't move right away. The house was quiet again, but not the same quiet as before. I stood up slowly, walked to the living room, picked up Eleanor's photograph. You were right, I said. Softly. She did forget. I paused, then added. But I didn't. I placed the photo back on the shelf. Straightened it. Precise. The clock ticked behind me. Steady. Unapologetic. For months, I had been counting money, tracking loss, measuring what was leaving my life. Now, for the first time, I understood something simpler, something cleaner. They hadn't stopped taking because they needed it. They had stopped because I finally stopped giving. And in the end, that was the only number that ever really mattered. If you believe older voices still matter, support this channel with a like and a subscription.